Hey everyone, welcome back to the Angular mini project series, where we take real world ideas and turn them into smart reactive apps using NgRx and RxJs. Today we are building a fully functional shopping cart application. We are taking things up a notch from basic state management. In this video, we will use Angular latest standalone features to build our app. We will get our product list from a fake online server using json-server, just like a real app would. We will also use NgRx effect to manage when our app is loading data or if any error happens while getting the data from the backend. We will also keep track of our products and our shopping cart items in a separate part of our app memory. So when you add items to the cart or change quantities, we will do it in a smart, safe, and a faster way. And we will create special NgRx tool called derived selectors, which will help us to automatically figure out things like our total bill. So what are you waiting for? This video is packed with all the NgRx latest concepts you need in a modern professional project. So let's get started. Okay, so let's generate our Angular standalone project. So we will be using our ng new command and we will call our application as Angular NgRx shopping cart. And as this will be a standalone project, so we will call it standalone here. Okay, and we will set our routing as false. So we will set our routing equals false and our style we will give as CSS. Okay, so now this command will generate our project, and for server side rendering we want to know, we do not want it for now, and this command will install all the packages we need, and once it has been done then we can install other packages and our backend server too. Great, so our project has been successfully created and now we will open our project into VS Code. So we will drag our folder into the VS Code and this will open our project inside here. Now we can go inside the terminal and install all the dependencies we need, starting with our store effect, dev tools, and our local storage. Okay, so we will quickly install all the necessary NgRx libraries as I mentioned. Okay, so we'll use our ngadd command, ngadd ngrx-store. So this will install our updated store and we will say yes. Okay, so store has been updated. Now same we will install our other three packages too. That's it. So all of our packages has been installed successfully, all of the 4 packages. Okay, now we need a simple backend server to serve our product data. So we will use json-server for that, which is a fantastic tool for creating mock REST APIs quickly. Okay, so we will install our JSON server first of all, and after going here we will do npm install and we will do JSON server. So this will install the JSON server, and once it has been installed then we can configure our db file which it will serve. Okay, so in our project root directory, which is this one, we will create a new file and we will call it db.json. So this file will serve as our database. Basically it will have all the products which we will show to the users, which they can add to the cart. So for that I have already got a list of products in this format. Okay, so you can also take the whole list of data from the GitHub link which I'll provide, or you can just see it on the screen and type it if you want, like this. Okay, so you can see that I have got a few products here, basically, which is array of products. Okay, and they all have like ID, name, description, price, and image URL. So all of the things which a shopping product should have. Okay, so now we will run our JSON server. For that, inside our terminal here, we will run the command JSON server watch db.json. So with this command, we will be able to run our this db file. Okay, so as you can see, it has provided us with this endpoint. So I'll copy this and I will paste it here, and you will be able to see all the products. You can see it has got ID, name, and all the other properties. So our products have been loaded successfully using our server. Okay, so we can use this API to load our products in the front end. So we'll go to VS Code and get started with our coding. So our application will have everything from our model, actions, reducers, and selectors. So let's define everything we need for managing our product catalog state. So inside our src, inside the app folder, we will create our new folder which we'll call as products. Inside that we can create our model, our actions, our reducers, and selectors for specifically managing these products. Okay, so I'll create a new folder inside the app folder and I'll call it products. Okay, like this. Now inside this, we will create our products.model.ts file so that we can give an interface for our product, okay? So I'll create a file here and I'll call it product.model.ts. Now here we can define our interface. So basically we are defining our interface, which will be a product, which we will show in our product catalog, right? So for that we will define here, we'll say export interface and we will call it our product, right? And here what properties will our product have, like ID, name, description, price and an image URL, right? Like as you see here, ID, name, description, price and an image URL. So we are gonna just have these properties here, okay? So like this. So we have ID of type string, name of type string, description string, price as it's a number, so it's type number, and image it would be of type string too. So we've got all these properties to load our product, okay, in the product catalog. So this is our interface for product. Now we can switch to the actions. So for our product, we will have actions to load our product and other stuff. So for that, we will create here product.action.ts file. So easy, we'll just say product.actions.ts, okay? Now here we can define our actions such as loading, etc. So as you know, we load our products from this API, which is this one. We need to have a load product action here and the load product success as well whenever we have successfully loaded our products. And for some reason, if our products fail to load, if there's a problem in this API, then we need to show like load product failed, okay? So we'll create these three actions here. So first one would be our basic action, which is just to load products. So we'll say export constant load product, okay? Okay, here we'll say create action, as you know, and here we'll put it into string. So what is this about? This is like products, okay, products API, and what it does is this one. We will say here it's like for loading products, so we'll say load products, okay, like this. That's it. So for loading the product, we do not need any payload because we're just gonna trigger the process here to load the product, for example our ng-on init, etc. After this, here we will have our load product success action, which will be dispatched by the effect. So we will create an effect which will handle our whole API and everything. From there, if it's successful, we will dispatch this action, which is load product success. Then it will update our reducer and update our state. So we will say here export constant, and this will be load product success. So load product success, okay, and we'll say create action. So as this will be an action which will be coming from our effect, so it will return us all the list of products. So this time we will have a payload of product, okay? I hope that makes sense. So here we will again have the same stuff like this. So this would be load product success this time, okay? Like this. And this time we will have a payload. So we'll use props, and inside props we will pass our object, which is our products. So we'll say products, this will be of type product array. So this model, okay, this type, like this. So that's it. So we have got this payload, basically it's carrying our array of product object, okay? So like this we'll also have for our load product failure as well. Failure. And this time we would be getting like error properties, right? And not our product because it failed. So this time we will pass our error object. So we'll say error, and it could be of type any. So it could be array of errors or of single error object, whatever. So we are going to pass our array, which will be of type any here, okay? So then we can show user accordingly if whatever error it receives. So there we go. We have successfully created our three product actions, which is to load product success, and load product failure. This is like a standard in Angular. If you are loading something from an effect API like this, then you need to have like three actions, which will be always loading that action, then its success and its failure. Now we can jump to the important part, which is our reducer, which actually handles our state. So inside this product, we will create a new file and we will call it our reducer. So we'll say product.reducer.ts. And inside this, now we will define our state and its key. So first we'll say export constant product feature key. So product feature key, this one. And we'll call it products, right? As it's just products. So like this. Now we need to define the interface for our product state. So for this state reducer which we'll have, we need to define the interface for it. So we'll say here export interface, and it will be our product state. So like this, for whatever thing we have, like we have a cart, we have a product, or we have authentication, then for each of them we have their own state, okay? So like product will have product state. If it was cart, we will have our cart state. So now we'll have a product state. So this is the state which the product catalog will have every time it loads. So we'll say here, this is the interface like this. So it will have like our products, right? So products, and this will be of type what? Our product array. So we'll say product array. We'll import it from our here model, and it will have two more stuff, which is our loading. So letting the user know if our products has been loaded successfully or not, or if there is an error. So we are getting those stuff from here. You can say, so success means it's not loading anymore, it's been loaded, and failure means here we are getting an error. So we need to keep track of these properties too. So we'll have loading, which will be of type boolean, okay, like this. And we will have a last property, which is our error. So for some reason, if our this action, this one is failure, if we get this one, then we are handling this error. So error, basically it can be of type any, or it can be of type null. Okay, great. So we have defined our product state. Now we just need to initialize it. So for that, we'll say here export constant, and this will be our initial state. Okay, and this will be of type this product state. Now this time we will define it. So it needs three property, which is our product, loading, and error. We'll initialize them. So products will be empty in the beginning, so we'll give it an empty array like this. And our loading, in the beginning it would be false, right, because we are not loading anything. And then our error would be null. Great. So now we can define our reducer function for handling this product related actions. So for all these three actions, we need to define reducer functions, right? So that we can manage their states depending on the action. So for that, after this, we will create our product reducer. So we'll say export constant, and this will be our product reducer, okay, like this. And this will be basically create reducer. So we'll say create reducer like this. And now what we will do is we will take our initial state, okay, every time. And then we will have our on function, which will update our state immutably. So here we will update our state depending on what actions we receive. So for that, we will import all of our actions here. So we'll import all of the actions as product actions. Okay. Now we'll say if our product actions dot load product, if this action is being called, at that time what we want to do. So at that time we will take our state here. Okay. We'll open our arrow bracket, and inside this we will update our state. So we'll take the state. Okay. We'll return a new state object. And now what we'll do, we'll set our loading variable, this one, this loading, we'll set it as true. Okay. And then we will make our error as null. As every time our this load product file, we want to set our error as null. Okay. And we need to import our on from NgRx store. So we'll click here, update it. Okay. And you see the errors are gone. So like this, now we need to have multiple on. So one for our success and one for our failure, right? So we'll go here in the reducer. Okay. And now we will have our another on. So this time product actions dot load product success. So if this is the case, at that time again, we will also take our state like how we take previously. But with this, now as you remember, success we receive our array of products, right? So we will have here our object, which will be products array. So we'll say here products. So we are receiving these products from our this action. Okay. So we'll say here products, and then we will open our arrow bracket. Inside this, we will return here our new state object. So we'll return the state object, then we can change our properties. So what we'll do is we'll take these products, okay, and we'll replace whatever it is currently, for example, an empty array or whatever, we'll replace it with the products we are getting. So we'll replace it with this, like this. So this will replace the products array, okay, with the new updated one. Now what we'll do is, as our products have been loaded already, we want to change our loading state and we want to set it as false. As this is not loading currently, it's been already loaded, okay, and our error as null, okay, as there is no error. So now lastly we will have for our failure as well. So what we'll do, we'll just copy this, and error we will set as this error property. So here error will give this error. So this will store our error information, and then we can display our error in our front end if there is a problem. Great. So now we are done with our reducer. Now comes the final bit, which is selectors. So selectors helps us to get our product data and our loading and error status. Okay. So inside the product here, we will create our selectors. So we'll say here product dot selectors dot ts. So here, first of all, we will import our products from our product reducer. Okay. So first thing we will do is we will select our entire product state. Okay, so for that we will create here export constant and we'll say select product state. So this is our entire product state slice which we want to get, is basically this one, this whole. Okay, so for that here we will use our create feature selector. So we'll say create feature selector. Okay, and inside this here, this will be basically from products. Okay, and this will be our product state. So this one dot product state, it will be of type this, and here we will give our product feature key. So we'll say from products dot product feature key. So basically this. So we have connected our product feature key to our this state. Okay, now what we can do is now we can start writing selectors to get specific part of our state. For example, to select all our products, or to select if our product is loading or not, or if there is a specific error, we can get specific part of our state. Okay, using these selectors. So first what we will do is we will create our select all products. So we'll say export constant. So whenever in our TS file we need to get all the products, we will be using this selector, which I'll create now, which is select all products. Okay, like this. Okay, like this. And this will be create selector. So now not feature selector, just create selector. Okay, remember this. Inside this we will select our state. So this state, select product state, we'll have this state. Now we will filter, basically get the state we want. So here we will take the state, and this will be basically from products dot our product state. Okay, so this product state, I'll just hover over it, this one. And from here what we want the products array. So we will say here open the arrow bracket, we'll say take the state and get me the products. So state dot products. So here it will project all the products, array of products. Okay, like this we will do for our error and for our loading. That's it. So using the selectors now in the front end in our TS files, we can actually get all the product state and we can show the UI accordingly. Okay, now I'll also show you an example of if you want to create a selector where we want to get a single product. Okay, so we can get a product by using its product ID. So we'll create a selector for that. So we'll say here export constant, and this will be select product by ID. Okay, like this. So this will take our product ID that can be of type string, and here again we'll open our arrow bracket, create selector, same stuff. So this time we will take this select product state, basically this one, select all products. Okay, because we want it. And here after this we will say is these are products, right? So these products. So you remember this bit always was our state, for example here state, but in this case it will be our products. So I'll say here products and open the arrow bracket, and here I'll say products dot find, because I want to find that specific product with this ID. So find, and the p basically for product, I'll say if p dot id, the one which is equals to our product ID. So return that, easy. So what it will do is this selector will return us the products which matches this product ID specifically. So like this, in our component we want any product by a specific ID, then we can get it using this selector. So you see how selectors make our work really easy. We can have different state of our product or any kind of thing, for example, and get their specific state. So this makes our component communication really easy. Great, so now we are done with our selector. Now comes the part of our service and our effects. So how do we actually fetch the data when our load product action is dispatched? So for that we need an Angular service to make our HTTP call on basically this backend URL. Okay, so for that we will use our product service and our effect both in action. Okay, so first we will create our product service inside the product folder. So here I will say product.service.ts. And now what we need to do is we need to inject this service on a root level. So we will use @injectable like this, and we will inject it on our root. So like this. So provide in, and this will be our root. So that's it. Now our service is been available on the whole application level. Okay. Now we will define our service. So we'll say export class, and this will be our product service. So like this, product service. Okay. And what we need to do is, as we will be communicating with our HTTP request, which is this basically, we need to inject our HTTP client. So we need to inject our HTTP client. First of all, we need to import it from our common, okay, Angular common. And then here we can say private HTTP, okay, it is equals to our HTTP client. So we'll say inject, and it's coming from our HTTP client like this. So now we have injected our HTTP client, okay. So now we will store this URL, okay, inside our private variable. So here we'll create private products URL, okay, like this URL, okay, like this. So here we'll just copy it from here. So we'll copy this and put it here. So this is our products URL, okay. So make sure this matches our this one. You see, HTTP localhost 3000/products. So you see we have got a real endpoint, like a real world app. So now what we'll do is we'll create a method. So in this case it's only get products, right? So we'll say get products, because we do not need to edit our product, we would be editing our cart. So we'll deal with that later. We just need to get our products from this DB. And as you know, basically the products, it should come in type observable. So we'll say observable, okay, and this will be of type product array. So we'll import our product and product array like this. Now what we do is basically we need to fetch all of our products, right? So we will say return this dot http, as we are dealing with http request, so we'll be using this http, and we will be using its get method. So get, and what we are going to get is of type product array, like this get product array. And from where we want to get? From this URL. So this dot products URL here. So we'll say this dot products URL. Okay, so at this point we've actually got the product, but we want to do some stuff here. So for that we'll say dot pipe. So we pipe it and we can chain whatever we want. Now to make it look like a real backend, you know, where you can have some delay or simulations. So for that we will use our delay RxJs method. So what it will do is it will delay, like for example by 10 seconds every time we call this method. So in that time we can show our is loading or a spinner or anything like that. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And then what we'll do is we'll use the catch error, okay, the catch error RxJs method. What it will do is basically here we'll have our error and we'll open our object. Here what we'll do is we will return our throw error. So if there is an error, we want to return it. So we'll say return throw error, okay, this one, and inside this we can pass our error. So we'll say equals to new error, and we can pass the string here. So we'll say failed to load products for some reason, okay, and we can say that please try again later. So that's it. That's all we need to put in our product service. So basically we are just returning our this HTTP get, all the products we are loading using this service, and then we are putting a delay to make it look like a real backend, okay, where you can have some delays. And if for some reason there is an error, then we are returning it using this throw error. That's it, easy. Okay, now we will create our more advanced file, which is our product.effect.ts file. So we'll say here product.effects.ts. Inside this, we will create our load product effect, which will only get triggered when our load product action is dispatched. So it will call the product service to fetch our products and dispatch our load product success or load product failure based on whatever outcome we receive. So first of all, we will create our class and we'll call it our product effect, product effects, okay, and we'll make this class injectable. So here we will make it @injectable like this. After this, we need to inject our action and our product service, as we will be using both of them, okay. So we will use our inject function to do that, okay. So we'll say private actions dollar and inject, that's it, and we are going to inject our actions, which is going to come from our NgRx, okay. So that's it, actions like this. Same way we will inject our product service too. So we'll say private product service, and this will be equals to our again inject, and this time we will be importing our product service like this. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now we have access to both our actions and our product service. So now here we can finally define our first effect, which is our load products, okay. So we'll call it load products, and each effect we define it with this $sign. That's it, it's just a naming pattern, and it will come from our create effect, as it's the effect, so like create effect, okay, like this. And then we open our arrow bracket, and now inside this, here what we'll do is we will call our action. So we'll say this dot action dollar, like this one, and then we will pipe it. So we'll say dot pipe. Inside this we will have our off type. So what kind of actions we want to trigger it to, like for example, so we'll use here off type. So we want to only call this effect when this specific action is dispatched. So which action is that? It's our load products, okay. So we will import our product actions here. So we'll say import asterisk as product actions, okay, like this, from, so we need to import it from our product.actions, okay, like this. Now we have access to our product action. So we'll say product actions dot specifically on load product. So whenever our load product is called from, for example, our TS file, that time that load product, okay, this will call this effect. Then if our effect is success using our product service, we get a good request. Then we will load our product success action, that one, load product success. Then it will update our reducer and we can load that particular data. After this here, we will call our exhaust map, okay. Now the reason to use exhaust map is because what it does is it will ignore all the new load product action. For example, if someone clicks on load product and then again clicks on load product, so it will ignore that one because it's already in progress, right? So rather than using a basic map, we are using here exhaust map, okay, for this reason. Then here we'll open our arrow bracket and inside this we will call our get product service. So we'll say here this dot product service and we'll call our get products, okay. Once we get this, we will pipe it and inside this we will map our product. So we'll say map and we will go our products, okay, like this, open arrow bracket, and now we will return our success action as we have got a successful result probably at this point. So we'll say here return our product actions dot load product success, right, at this case, as there is no problem. And what we'll do is, as you remember, load product success, it comes with our products, right, from the backend. So we'll say here products like this. And if this is not the case, and if we get an error from our this product service, then we need to return our load product failure action, right? So for that we will use our catch error, which comes from RxJs, and inside this we will have our error property. We'll open our arrow bracket and we will return our load products failure. So as this should be of type observable, we will say here return of, and we will say product actions dot, it should be load product failure. And this time we do not get products as this is error, so we will pass our error here, this one, error property. That's it, we have successfully returned our first effect for our product. So what it does is it uses our create effect, listens for this off type action using our this off type, it listens for our load product action specifically, okay, and whenever this is called, this only gets triggered. For any other action, this one will never get triggered, okay. And then we use our exhaust map to prevent multiple requests, and then after that it calls this product service to get our products, and then if it succeeds, we call our map and we return our load product success with our updated products. But if that's not the case, we return our catch error and we return our failure and we pass the error, whatever it is. So that's actually it for all the things related to our products, starting from action, effect, model, reducer, selector, and service. Now we can focus on our cart state. So as you can see, we have these products, right? This is what we did for the products. Now we are going to focus on our cart. When we add items to the cart, we see that total, we remove the items and all the other stuffs to maintain persistence and state. For that, now we will be handling our cart state, including our model, action, and reducer. So for that, like our products folder, we will create a shopping cart folder too. So we'll create a new folder here and we will call it cart. And inside this, we will create our model file. So what should our cart item look like? So for that, we will create our interface. So we'll say export interface and we'll call it cart item, and we will have a product ID through which we'll recognize it, the product, right, and link it to cart. So we'll say product ID, it should be of type string, and then we'll have quantity, how many in the cart item, how many types of product we have, like the quantity of that cart item. So we need to have a quantity of type number, so the number of product in the cart for this specific item, okay, like this. So now after this, we will have another our interface and we will call it cart item detailed. So the detailed cart item, basically, which will have all the details, including our name of the product, price, its image, etc. like this. And what it will do is it will extend our this cart item. So these two properties also it should have, product ID and quantity. So we'll say extends cart item like this. And now this will already have by default these two properties, okay, here, both of these. Then we will add some extra properties like our name string, and then we will add our price, which will be of type number, right? And then we should have image URL as well. So these all properties are basically, we are defining our cart item type, how it should look like. So you remember in our product here, in the product model, you see these properties. So from here, you see you need like the name of it, the price of it, these things when we show in our cart like this here, you see. So in our name, our price, our image URL, and then we need to calculate the quantity. So we'll take this price from here and inside our this model and multiply it by the quantity, and then we need to create a line total as well. So the total price of that cart, you get it. So like that, we'll have image URL here for string, and then we will have line total. This is what I was saying. So line total would be basically of type number. So this would be basically the quantity we have for the product and the price. So this, okay. And these two properties we will have as we are extending our cart item. Okay, so we are actually done with our both the models we need, which is cart item and cart item detailed. Okay, so now we can focus more on our actions, so cart actions. So now we will create a new file and we will call it cart.actions.ts. So now if you look at our cart, what kind of actions should we have? First is to add the item. As you can see, we have add item here. Then we can remove the item as well. Then we can increase the quantity of our item and decrease the quantity as well. And at the end, we can also clear the whole cart. So you see all these actions which in the UI you see here. These all we need to implement, right? So we'll start with our first action, which is our add item. So we'll say export constant add item. As you remember, the same logic, create action, and then inside this here first we'll have our message. So this will be the page which we are representing, it's cart item, and then what it does. So it adds the item, right? Add item, and this should be cart page like this. Now in this case, when we are adding an item, basically we are taking a product and we are adding it, okay, in our cart. So we need a product ID to do that. So we need to pass our payload. So we'll do that using props, and we will pass our product ID here. So we'll say product ID, and this will be of type string like this. So that's it. So we are using our payload as the ID, and we are passing it and adding our product. Okay, now like this we need to have more actions like our remove, increase, decrease, as I discussed. So we'll copy this, remove item like this, and to remove the item also we need our product ID of type string. Okay, so next up is our increase the quantity of item and decrease the quantity. So again I'll copy it, increase quantity, and then I will have same for our decrease quantity too. So I'll copy this, decrease like this, and this should be also decrease quantity. Now to decrease the quantity also we need to pass our product ID. It's the logic is same as you see, and for same for our decrease also we need to pass our product and same logic. And the last action which comes is our clear cart item. So again I'll copy it, clear the cart. So we want to clear the whole cart. For that we'll pass this action. So user should be able to remove all the items in the cart. So we'll say here clear cart, and we'll remove here, so we'll maybe call it remove all items like this. Okay, and then props, we do not need to pass anything because we do not want to remove one specific product. We'll remove the whole array, so we don't need this actually here like this. So that's it, we are actually done with all of our actions. Now for all of this action we need our reducers. So now we will create our new file and call it cart.reducer.ts. So I'll call it cart.reducer.ts. So now we will write the core logic in our reducer. So first we need to define our feature state slice as we did in our product file as well. Now we need to define interface for our cart state, right? So our cart has a state which will be loaded. So for that we will define an interface. We'll say export interface, and this will be our cart state. So cart state, and what it will have basically, as you can think of, it will have all the items in our cart, right? So we'll say items, and this will be of type cart item. So we have our cart item model, and these are items, so we'll have array of cart item like this. That's it. So it's an array holding all the items we will have currently in our cart. Okay, now we need to have our initial state for our cart. Now we need to define our reducer function so that we can update our cart state immutably. Okay, so now we will say export constant, and this will be our cart reducer. So this is, if you think of, it's all same, like how we have our product reducer, we have cart reducer. The main logic is same, we just differentiate them based on our action. So this will be create reducer, and inside this first again we will write our initial state like this, and then we will have our on handle. Okay, so like this on, and we need to import this on, so we'll just import it from NgRx like this. Now we need to define our action, whatever action what we want to do. So now we need to import our actions. So on different action we can update our state. So here we will say, now on here we will say cart actions, okay, dot. So first one we will do is our add item. Whenever user wants to add the item, if that action is dispatched, that time we will take our state, and if you remember we send our product ID to add the item. So we'll write here product ID, this one. Yeah, I can show you here. See this one. So we send product ID. So we'll have a product ID in reducer. Okay. And then after this we'll open our arrow bracket, and here we will have our logic. So first what we want to do is we want to know if we are adding an item, if it's like the first item in the cart, or if it's the item is already in the cart and we just want to update it. So for that we will do here constant, and we want to know if it's the existing item or not. So we will try to find the index. So we'll say existing item index like this, and for that we will take our state, go over items, and then find the index of that item which matches this product ID. Okay, so we'll say find index, and then we'll say item, open arrow bracket, and if item dot product ID equals to our product ID which we are passing, then it's the one. You get it? So now we will have a updated item array. Okay, so we'll say let updated items. Okay, and okay, this will be of type cart item, right? Array, basically like this. Now we have this updated item, okay, like this, and then we will fill up this whole array. So now to see if our item exists or not, so when we try to find index of this, and if it actually exists, then it will return a value which is greater than -1. So here we will say if existing item index, if it's greater than -1, then it means the item exists. Okay, like this. So in this case the item exists. So what we will do, we will increase the quantity of the item. So the item exists, so we do not need to add an extra item, we just need to increase the quantity, right? So if you can see here in our cart model, here we have our quantity of the item, so we just need to increase the quantity and not the add a new item. So for that we have written this case. So now as we already have item and we just want to update it, we will update the item and put it into this updated item at the end. So we'll say updated item should have the value, and now what we'll do, we'll say state dot items, we want to loop over all the item map, and then we will say here item, take the item and the index. Okay, like this, and then we will open our arrow bracket, and we will say here that if our index equals to our existing item index, if they are equal, basically we have found the item at this point, right? Then we will go here and we will use our this condition, and we will say take the object, we'll say take the item and update its quantity. So we will take the quantity here, okay, and we will update it. So quantity will be basically our item dot quantity, and we want to increase it, so +1. That's it. So what this will do is this will create a new item object with this updated quantity, as you see. Okay, but for all the other items it will loop over. We don't want to do anything, and we just want to return our item like this. So that's it. We are actually done with our first case where we have our item which is already there and we just want to update our quantity. And now the other case where the item doesn't exist, in that case we need to add our item. So we'll have a else, and now here as the item doesn't exist, we need to add the new item. So we'll say here updated item again. So we need to update our this list, right? So we'll say updated items, and here what we'll do is take the array, we'll take state dot items, and then we need to add a new product and its quantity, right? So we'll take the product ID, whatever we want to add, and we will update our quantity to 1 as it's our like first item. So that's it. So we have created new array with a new item. That's it, like this. Now after this, once this has been done, we can return our new state object with the updated items array. So now the updated item has both the things. Either if it exists, then it's this one. If it doesn't exist, we've added. Whatever the case is, we need to return our new state object. So we will say here return, and here we can say take our state and the items we have. Basically now what we are doing is we are updating our this state, cart state. So take whatever state and then items, replace it with this updated items, whatever the case. That's it. Now you see all the errors are gone, and we are actually return our first reducer method for handling our adding the item. Okay, now we can do the same bit for our removing the item too. So after this we'll have another on handle where we will try to remove the item. So this one's pretty easy. So we'll just take on, we will say take the state. So we want to return our new state object, and we'll take items, and here we will take our state dot items dot, we want to filter, right? So we'll filter, and we want to filter out the one which doesn't match. So for that we'll say loop over the item using arrow bracket. We'll say item dot product ID which is not equals to the product ID which we sent. That's it. So it will basically remove that one, and we'll have a new filter list. So that's it. That's how easy it is to do the remove one. So now comes the action, which is to increase the quantity. So as you can see this one, where we want to just increase our quantity, and the item already exists in the cart, we just want to increase it. So for that also we'll have our on, and here we will take again our return our state, new state object. So we'll take the items, and then we will say take state dot items dot map, we want to loop over all the item. So here we'll open the arrow bracket, And now here we will say if our item dot product ID, if it matches the product ID which we sent, then this is the one we want to basically update. That's it. So here we'll take this syntax and we will create a new item object and we'll just increase the quantity. So we'll say item. So we will take our quantity property, okay, and we will say item dot quantity, whatever it is, add 1 to it. So that's it. So it will create a new item object with this incremented quantity, okay. But if it's not the case, like for all the other items, just return the item. That's it. Don't do any changes. So that's it. So we're done with our increase quantity action as well, reducer. Now comes the final bit, which is our decrease quantity, when we want to decrease the quantity. And now here also there are two cases. So one of the cases is when the item exists, like here, we'll just decrease it. But if the item is the last item, so at that time we want to remove it. We do not want to just decrease the quantity. We want to remove it from the array. So we'll have again two cases, like the existing item how we had here, like this one. So for that we'll again create a new on handle. And so one of the cases is, first we want to check if existing item, like if it's there, existing item, and existing item it's dot quantity if it is greater than 1, right? So we want to check the existing item is there, and then if quantity is greater than 1, so we have like 2, then we just want to change the number like this, decrease it to -1 instead of +1. But if it's not the case, then we want to remove it from the whole array. So for that, in this we open our if condition. So we say if item dot product ID, okay, if it matches our product ID, then we want to decrease the quantity. Update our item dot quantity, we'll take it, add -1 to it, because we want to decrease the quantity, right? And if it's not the case here, basically for all the other item we just bring it back. That's it. Return normal item. Okay, so now after this, what we will do, after this if condition, we will have our else condition. So basically this is the case where our quantity basically is 1. So now what we want to do is we want to remove this whole object, okay. So for that we will say again here return and dot items dot filter. So that's how easy it is when we want to actually remove it. So we can just filter and match it. So we'll say item dot product ID, the one which is not equals to product ID. So it will filter it out and give us the new list which will exclude this specific product ID. So that's it. Now with this one, if we see here, actually at this point we are actually done with all of our actions. Now I think we have one more action left, which is to clear the cart, and this one is the most easiest one. So after this we will have one more action and we'll say on cart actions dot clear cart. So here we will take our state and then open our arrow bracket, and now what we'll do here is we'll take the state again and we'll take our items, and we are clearing the cart, which means back to our initial state. So we'll make it empty. That's it. So what it will do, it will reset the items to an empty array. So we are actually done with all of our reducer logic. We have written methods starting from add item to update item to increase quantity, decrease quantity, and also our clear cart as well. So now we are done with this. Now we can start with our selectors for the cart. Now to get all the cart data in our component, we need to have some selectors. So for that we will create our cart.selector file. So inside the cart folder we will ts, okay. Okay, now inside this file we will first select our entire cart feature state, okay, state, okay, and this will be create feature selector, because we are selecting the whole our cart state, okay. Create feature selector, and to select our state key and feature we need to import our reducer here. So we will say import, okay. Now we will say here this will be of type from cart state, and we will give it here from cart dot feature key, okay. So now we have connected our entire cart state here, okay, using our this feature key. This is our this cart key, okay. So with this selector, now we have got the entire cart state. Now we can have like basic selectors for our different part of the carts, okay. So first one would be our select cart items. So we'll get all the cart items from our state and take whatever we want. So from here we only have items, so we'll take the items. So when we use this selector, we should be able to get our items, whole of the item in our cart in our component file, okay. So we have done that. Okay, now we'll create some derived selector. So basically we want to create a selector where we can have the whole total items in our cart. So again this will be create selector. Same stuff, we select our cart items. So in this one we are not going to select the whole state, we're going to take all our cart items we have, right, like this, select cart items, and from here we will again, this time these are select cart items, so we have access to all the items. So we'll take here items this time, and here we'll open our arrow bracket. So we'll say items dot reduce. So we want to calculate all the total of all the items. So we'll use our reduce function of JavaScript. Inside this we will have our two things. One is a total we want to calculate, and the item for each item, right? So we'll have these two variable, total and item. Then we will open our arrow bracket here. So we'll say take the total, whatever it is, and add it to like this item.quantity. So add over this item.quantity price, basically this one. So add over this item.quantity to this total, okay? Keep on adding. And in the beginning it will be like 0, like this. So what it will do, it will sum up all the quantities of the item, okay? And it will give us that. And we can use this again in our component. Okay, so after this, now we will have our another selector, which will be to select cart item with details. So as you remember, we have our product and then we have our cart item, right? So what we want to do, this would be select cart item with details. So it will have all the cart item combined with the full product detail. So at the end, when we show a product to the user, right, in the cart, they can see its name, its price, its total, how much each product cost, and the total quantity it has, and then what is the total of that. So all those stuff we need to have. So for that, we'll have this select cart item with detail selector, okay? So it will take both the states and combine them. So here you'll see how we do that. So we'll say export constant, this will be select cart items with details, okay? And here we'll say create selector, and inside this, so this time what we will do is, first we will take our all the cart items. So we'll say select cart items, and another one we want to select all the products. So now we want to take cart item and product, and then we want to combine them and get all the details we need. So for that we need to import our selector as well here. So we'll go here on top and we'll import our selector as well. So we have imported our products from products, okay, like this. And now what we'll do here, we'll say from products dot our select all products. So now we have basically both of our product list and our cart item, okay? Now after this we can take both of these items like this. So we'll take items and then we will take products. Easy, right? And once we have done this, have this one, this will be of type cart item detail product. You remember we created a model in our cart. If you remember model, we have cart item details, this one, which extends our cart item. So this will have like product ID, quantity, name, price, image, URL, line total, and all of these details we need. So here we'll say cart item details. So for that we also need to import our this model, right? And we will import our model. Now we can say this, basically these both things we want in this type, cart item detail product. We'll open our arrow bracket, and now inside this, basically this has all these properties we need to put here. Okay, so inside this we'll have a basic check that if our product doesn't exist, then we just want to return an empty array because there's nothing, right? We just want to return an empty array like this. But if it's not the case, then after this we'll say return, and then we can say items dot map. So we'll map our the item, right, we'll get from basically both of these stuffs. So we'll say items dot map, and we will take item here, open our arrow bracket, and inside this we'll try to find the corresponding product detail to each of the item, okay? So we'll say constant product, okay? And now we'll say this should be like products dot find. So what we are trying to do is we're looping out all the item and trying to find the product which matches the ID. As you remember, we have the ID common in both of those. Once we find those, then we're going to make an object like a common product detail object, and then make it all, and then group it all together and return it. That's it. So for that we'll say here products.find, and now we need to find our product, and then we'll say if p.id, okay, if it's equals to our item dot product ID. So then we'll be able to match each product to that item, and once we have done that, that's it, we can start combining the all properties, right? So now if we do that, then you remember in our cart model we do not have access to this line total. Line total is what? Each product, its quantity into its price. So like this we need to fill up this detail. So here now we will calculate our this line total. So first we need to calculate our price, okay? So we'll say constant price, this will be our product dot price, this one, easy. If it doesn't exist, then we'll just say 0, just a basic validation. And then we will say constant line total, this line total is the one we need. So here we'll say item dot quantity. So doesn't matter how much is the quantity of the item, right? This one, which we actually add from the UI. Then you take the product price, so which is this price, we get it from product dot price. So we take this, that's our line total, that's it. And then once we have got that, we'll take return. So we'll spread our item here. So we'll say item, and then we can name all the properties we want. So our name would be product dot name, as it already has it, okay? And then if this doesn't exist for some reason, then we can also say product not found, right? Then we have other properties such as price. So you see what we're trying to do is we are trying to implement this model, this one. So name, price, image, URL, line total, these things. price would be our price, okay, and our image URL, this one would be coming from product.image URL. Easy. And also if this also doesn't exist for some reason, it doesn't load from our backend, then we can say that image not found, or you can say anything else as well. After this we'll have our line total, which calculated now, and this will be the line total. Okay, so that's it. We have actually done with our first selector with this one, which is our select card item with detail, and this is really important because this will cover major part of our UI. Okay, now after this we can have another selector which will be to calculate total card price, not for individual but for the total card. Okay, so for that, after this we will have our another selector. We'll say it export constant select card total price. Okay, so here we'll say create selector, and in this one we'll take all this item with this detail, right? Select our item with detail, so we'll take select our item with detail here, and then we'll take our detailed item from here. Okay, you can call it whatever. So after this we'll open our arrow bracket, we'll say detail items, and then again we want to calculate the total, right? So we'll say again reduce function, and here we'll have again two variables. One is our total, and we want to calculate items total, so we'll say item, open our arrow bracket, we'll say take total plus add item dot line total. So for each line total, add all of them to this total variable, and obviously start from 0 in the beginning. So now this will sum up all the line total and give us our total cart value. Okay, like a real app where you have all the total of whatever you have added, right? Great. So now we are done with our all of the selectors and the whole code. Basically we have done with our cart, we are done with our products. Now what we need to do is we need to take both of this stuff and link it to our app.config file. So we need to register our effects, our reducers, and all the state and local storage inside our app.config.ts file inside this. So first thing, we'll just format our document with prettier here, and it will look more better. Okay, more organized. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to introduce our local storage. So we need to make sure that our stuff, for example our cart, right, as you can see the cart here, so whenever we add items and remove, at that time it shouldn't go away whenever we refresh our page. So we will be syncing our local storage to our reducer. Okay, so here we will start. After this we will say constant keys to sync, so keys to sync like this, and the key which we want to sync is our cart feature key. We do not want to sync our product, right? So we have product and we have cart, because product we are getting from our that db file, so we need to only care about our carts. We do not change our products. So here we'll say from cart dot cart feature key, and we'll just import our cart here. Okay, so here after this import we'll just import it, okay, our cart, and now we are having like here dot cart feature key. Now we just need to sync this to our local storage. So for that we have a function, and you remember we've done this in previous videos too, so we'll call it local storage sync reducer. Okay, like this, and this function here, it takes a reducer that will be our action reducer. Okay, and this will be of type any. Okay, and this will be basically of type our action reducer of type any, again like this. Okay, and we'll open this. So inside this we will return our local storage sync. So what we will do is we will import our local storage. Okay, so we already installed it if you remember in the beginning of the video. So here we'll say import so NgRx local storage. Okay, there. Now what we'll do is we'll return this local storage sync, and inside that we can have our property. So we'll say return local storage sync, open it, the object. Now inside this we'll have our keys. So it provides with all the properties. So keys will sync this key to sync, basically our this card feature key, this card state. Okay, so we'll say here keys to sync this one, and then we will have rehydrate property, and this will be true. So it will make sure whenever our app loads, our state is applied. And then we will have our storage. So this will be using, so what storage we want to use, we'll be using window.localstorage there. Great. Now we will say remove on undefined, this will be true. So that's it. Now what we need to do is after this here we will have our reducer, and like that. So now we are actually done with our local storage sync reducer, and we have it here. So now we need to have all the reducers we have, all the meta reducers. So we'll say here constant meta reducers. Okay, for example if we had multiple reducers, then we would in the array we will mention all those reducers. In this case we only have this local storage sync reducer, so we'll just put it here. So this is the array of reducers, we can put multiple. So we'll put here local storage sync reducer. So we have this meta reducer. Now we need to take this meta reducer and provide it into our NgRx store. So if you can see here, we have got our providers. So we have got provide store, right? This one. So here we will take this and we'll create object here, and we will provide our meta reducer. So here we will say meta reducers, this one. So if we had multiple reducers, we'll have all of those. So currently we have this one. So now it's connected to our store. You can see with this now. There we go. Now we need to provide our both the state, which is our product state and our cart state. So here we will have provide state. So we'll say provide state, okay, like this. And inside this, we will provide both of our product and our cart state. Great. So now we have registered both of our product and our cart state here. Now we need to provide our effects too. So for that, we already have provide effects here. We just need to import our effects. So we'll go on top and import our product effect here. So we'll say product effects from effects there. Now we'll just take this product effects, okay, and put it inside this. So that's it. We have successfully added our product effects too. So you can see we added our effects, our reducer, our state, and all of the other stuffs we need like local storage as well. So we are actually done with our whole registration of our store and all the other stuff. Now, last thing which is left is to build our product UI. So we will be building our product list component, our cart list component, and link both of them to our app component. And finally, we will have our application up and ready. So now let's build our product list component. So let's display our products. So we'll create a standalone component. So inside our terminal here, we will create our product list component. So we'll say ng, and this will create our product list component here, as you can see. I'll just close this. You can see we've got our product list component. So let's first write the logic, then we can code the HTML later on. Okay. So this one we will say first of all it implements on init. So as we'll be using our pipes and other stuff, so we will import our common module here like this inside our import. Now what we'll do is first we will inject our store. So we will be using our store to get the data. So first thing is to inject our store. So we'll say here private store. So the store comes from NgRx store. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to create some observables for our template. So as you remember, like as usual, we have a product as it's a product template, right? So we need to load our products, then we need to have is loading, and we need to have error. You know, that's our state for product. So we will have observables for all of these three values here, okay, like this. So we have product here. It will observable of type product array because they'll have all the product, is loading of type boolean, and error can be of type any or null. So we just need to import our observable from RxJs. Once we do this, our errors would be gone. We just need to initialize these observables. So for that, inside our constructor here, we will initialize these variables, okay, so that they are filled with the data. So inside the constructor here, we will say first of all our product. This will be coming from store. So we'll say this dot store dot select. And what we want to get the product selectors, and then we want to select all the products. So we need to import our product selectors here. You can see dot dot slash will go to our products, okay, and inside this we'll have our product selectors. So selectors help us to get the data from the store, right? So we'll say here product selectors like this one dot select all products. So now this will select all the products into this observable. So this will be of type observable, but we'll take this and we'll load it into our HTML using our async pipe. So like this, we will do with our is loading, our error as well. So for is loading, we are using product selector or select product loading, and for error, we are using select product errors. So we created all these selectors inside our product selectors. You can see all of this from here, right? Now going back to our product list component, now we need to have our ng on init method. Here what we need to do, this method is called every time this component loads. So when this happens, we need to load all the products. So for that, we need to dispatch the action manually. So we'll say this dot store dot dispatch, and we need to call our action, which is load product. So we need to import our actions as well. So we'll say here import asterisk as product actions, okay, and this will be coming from same here products, and it would be actions. So product dot actions. So now inside here we will have our product actions dot, we want to load the product, and then our effect will get triggered, which will give us a success or a failure. So we'll do dot load products here, and we just need to call our method like this. So that's it. Okay, so this dispatch will make sure whenever application load, it loads this load product action, which in turn will trigger our effect that will communicate to our service, get all the data, which are all the products, and give us a success, which is our load success. Okay, so that is how the whole communication works. Now what we need to do is we need to also create our different methods. Like we need to have our add to cart method, right? Whenever we want to add a product to a cart. So for that, we want to create here add to cart. This is not to update the product. I'm saying basically we want to add the product to the cart, right? So for that, we'll have this add to cart method, and what it will take is it will take our product ID, right, which we get from the database. So we'll say product ID of type string, and here we just need to dispatch our action. If you remember, we have the add item action. So we'll say here this dot store dot dispatch, and this time we need to get our cart because we are adding in our cart. So we need to get the cart action here and not our product action, right? So we need to import our cart as well from here. So I'll take it and edit it to call cart action, and this will be coming from our cart. Okay, so this will be our cart and it will be coming from cart actions. Easy. So now what we need to do is we need to dispatch our cart action. So we'll say cart actions dot, and we will be adding our item. So to add the item, we will be adding here our product ID. So we'll take the product ID and add. Now if you remember, this is this one, cart item basically dot add item, this one. Now this one, you remember, it has in the reducer the specific action, this one, cart action dot add item. So it takes the item and it actually adds it to the cart, right? Takes the product and add it. So for this we have added this add to cart method. This method will make sure it adds to our cart list. Great. Now we can go into our template and we can start writing the product list component. Okay, so here first of all we'll have our h2 products like this, and then we will have a div. So a div for whenever our page is loading. At that time we do not want to show user the product, so we'll say here ng if, and we'll say if is loading, this observable which we got, right? If this is true, and obviously for that we need to have our async pipe, so we'll say here async, right? Now this will convert the whole observable stream and show it as a boolean, true or false. So if this is true, then we want to show the user loading products, like we don't want to show them the products, right? So we'll say loading products, please wait, like this. And what we can do is here we can just add a class loading. You can do all the CSS later on. I will give the whole code into GitHub so you can copy and paste, or you can just follow along as well. So after this we'll have another div to represent our error. So if there is an error coming from our backend and we cannot load product for some reason, so we need to show user that, right? So we'll say ng if error, and to display it we will use our async pipe error loading the products. Okay, so basically you cannot load the product for some reason, and to show our error we'll just have a pre-tag here and we'll say error.message. Basically it will type error or JSON, okay, like this. Now if none of this is true, then we can actually show our products, right? Now we have done all the basic validation using our these two divs, okay, for loading and for our error. But if none of this is true, like everything's fine, then we can actually load our product list. So for that we'll have another if condition here. Now we'll say both of this, right? If they don't exist, if both of them are false, so we're using not here. So if both of them are false, then only we actually show our products, which makes sense. Now inside this we can actually have our logic. So we'll say ng container, and inside this container I'll have my if condition. I'll say if product exists, then show the products. So here I'll say basically products, and I'll use my async pipe to show. Okay, so we'll load the products as products like this. Easy. Great. So now we have access to our products. Now we need to use a for loop and go over all the products and show them. Add product of products. Okay, and we can have some basic styling later on, and then we'll have our image here. So now what we have done is we have loaded our image. Now we need to load more stuff. For example, the product name. So we'll say here product.name, and like this we'll have our description, our price, and our button. And we'll have our product price, and to load the price we'll use our currency pipe like this. And whatever currency you want to use, if you want to use GBP you can use GBP, if you want to use INR you can use INR, like this. Okay, so that's it. Now after that we will have our button. So the button to actually take this product and add it to the cart. So for that we will have a click listener here, and this click listener, you remember we already created, it's called add to cart, the method it will call, and it will take our product ID. So we'll say product.id like this. That's it. And we can call this button we'll call it our add to cart. So we'll say add to cart. Easy. And then we can give some basic styling to this button too. So I have given here a class, and like this for the whole page I'll give some basic styling. Okay, so I'll just copy this, and what I've done is, so I've given some classes which I'll create it in my CSS. So we'll go into our TS file first, and I can see there is a error. So we need to solve the error first. Okay, so here we go, and we can see that it says there's an error in product array. So we need to import it, and that's it. Now we can see that, yeah, this is all fine. We just need to give now CSS. Okay, so I've just put some basic styling here, which you can take it from the GitHub link I'll give. Okay, you can go in the repo and you can get this code, as it's a big file. Okay, now it's the time to display our cart content finally. So for that we need to create our cart. So we will do nggc, and we need to create our shopping cart. So we'll call it shopping cart, and again this will be a standalone component. So standalone like this. Now this will create our shopping cart component, and we'll do pretty much same stuff in our shopping cart too. So you can see that we have got our shopping cart component here. So we'll go in the TS file, And here again we will do pretty much same stuff. In the import we will have our common module, okay, like this. And then what we will do is we will go here and we will inject our store. So here we need to display our two observables. So we are going to display our cart item and we are going to display our total prices, right? So we need to have these two observables. So first we will create our cart item. Okay, so we'll have our cart item observable here, and this will be of type observable of our cart item detail. So not cart item, our cart item detail one, right? Which have all the detail property of the cart item we show. So this one, as you can see here, it has our name, price, image, URL, line total, and also it extends our cart item. So we've got product ID and quantity too. So like this. Now after this we will also have a total price. So now what we will do is after this we'll have a constructor where we will initialize this. So we'll say this dot cart item and we'll say this dot store dot select as usual, and then we'll get our cart selector. So for that we need to import our cart selectors. We'll have our cart selectors and also our cart actions imported. Now what we'll do is, so for this cart item we need to fill it, right? Get data from the store. So here we will say our cart selector, okay, this one dot, we need to get all the cart item with details. So we'll say dot select cart item with details, this one. And then same for our total price. So we'll say this dot total price, we'll say this dot store dot select, again cart selectors dot, for total price you can see we have got select cart total price selector. So you see it's this selector where we go and get the total. So that's it, how easy it is because of the selectors we have created. Now we just need to go and create different methods for our HTML for the cart, right? Okay, so now as you can see on the screen, we have got an increase button, a decrease button, a remove, and a clear cart button. So we need to have all these methods implemented in our TS file so that we can connect it to HTML later on. So we'll first create an increase method here, and I'll say increase method, and what it will do is it will take our store. So we'll go call our store, this dot store dot dispatch. You see we don't have to write any logic, we have written all the logic in our store. We just need to call our cart action, okay, dot, we need to dispatch the action. So the action we need to dispatch is increase quantity, and we just need to pass our product ID. That's it. Now this product ID we'll be sending from HTML using our for loop. So what we'll do is we'll put our product ID here. So product ID should be of type string, like this. That's it. So like this we will have our decrease method too, and same for our remove product too. And for clear cart, this is the easiest one. So we'll say clear cart here, and this doesn't take anything because it's the empty action, it makes the whole list empty. So here it's a big action, so we'll ask user to confirm first. So we'll say if confirm, we use the JavaScript dialog box. So if they are sure, then only we will dispatch our actions. And that's it, we're actually done with the whole TS code. Now we just need to implement our HTML to show our product list. So again we will have a basic h2 saying shopping cart, and then here we will have a ng container, okay, like this. This ng container here we will put a if condition, okay. So we'll say ng if, here we'll say if cart item, basically this exists, so we'll use a async pipe to load it, like this. Now inside this we can have our multiple divs. So one of the div basically will say user if there is no item in the cart, then we need to tell them to add some products. So we'll say here like your shopping cart is empty, add some products, and only show this div. So we'll put a condition here, and we want to only show this div, there will be no items, and user, we can say user that you need to add some items. So for that also we will have here a class, and we'll call it. So this is one of the div. Now another div we'll have is where we can show the whole cart items, okay. So we'll create the div, and in this div we'll say if our length is greater than 0, then we can show the cart items. So for that we can use ul undefined list, and inside this we will have a li. So we'll have list item, open this, and here we will say a span. So what we'll do is we'll have different spans for our showing the headers. So this will be our cart header, okay. So here we'll say cart header, and here we can have different span items like our product, okay, as you can see on the screen, for one for product, quantity, price, total, actions. So we'll create all these items, these are headers, okay. So we'll just take this li, and here you can see, so we've got cart header, and it's got item detail, item quantity. This is all for CSS stuff, you can take it later on. We got products, quantity, price, total, actions, right. And here we'll give this a class too, and we'll call it cart container, like this, okay. Now what we'll do is after this li, now we will have one more li. So this li will have all the information for this specific headers, this and all of this just beneath those, right. So here we will have, again we'll loop ng4. So we'll use our ng4 loop, go over all the cart items. So here we will have our div, and we'll say this div, basically this will show our item name. So we'll say here item.name. So like this we need to show all the details like name, image, and all the other stuff. So for that, before the name we can also show our image. So here image we'll have src, and we will bind it, and we'll call it item.imageURL. So now it's linked. For it, we do not need to show anything. We can say maybe item.name. Okay, for some reason it doesn't show up, we can bind it to like this. Okay, now what we need to do is, then we can also give a class to it, and we can call it item image like this. Okay, now after this div, once we have shown basically our image and even our name, then we can another div for our quantity, this one. Okay, so here we will have a span, and inside the span, inside our curly bracket, we will say item dot quantity. So this one, right, the quantity of the item, and it should also have like a plus and a minus icon to remove or decrease the quantity. So for that we will have a button, and the button basically it will have a click listener, and you remember we created our decrease method. So decrease method, and it will take our product ID. So we just need to pass our item dot product ID, easy. So like this, and we'll call this button here decrease quantity like this. So same thing we will have for our increase button too. So like this, you can see. So we got two buttons, one for our decrease, one for our increase. Inside we've got item.quantity, and we just got some basic CSS and styling stuff. So we are showing minus and plus sign instead of our decrease text. Now after this div, what we will do is, after this we will have a span, and we need to show the price, right? You can see we've got price and total, so we need to show price here. So we'll open the brackets, and here we'll say item.price. Okay, and as we are using a price, we need to use the async pipe. So this one we'll use our currency pipe. So same thing we will do for our line total too. So we need to show our line total, like the total for the quantity of this item, right? So we'll take the span, and again here we'll say item dot line total, and then this is also we need to show it in currency. So we'll literally have the same stuff. Okay, like this. So we've got item price, we've got item total, and we are using like same stuff to show them. Okay, now after this we'll have another div, and our final div actually, and here we will show our action. So the action is basically to remove the product, right? That's the only thing left, and inside this we'll write our button. Now after this UL, here we will create another div, and here what we will do is we'll have the whole cart summary, right? So the total of the whole cart. So for that, first of all we will have a button, and the button, this button will have a click listener, this one, and this one basically it will call clear cart. So whenever we want to clear the whole cart, we will call this button. You remember we created this method, right, in our TS file, this one. So it clears the whole cart. So this is the button for that, and we need to show the total. So for that we'll have a div. Inside the div we will use a strong. Okay, and here we can show our grand total. So we can say grand total, and we can show the price. So you remember we have total price, obviously it's observable, so we need to use async pipe here, and it's a currency, it's a number, so we need to show as currency, right? So we'll show currency, and I'll use USD here, same bit again, and then symbol like this. Now I'm just gonna put some basic styling. Okay, you can again get that from the GitHub too. Okay, so now we can actually save our application, and we can start our server. So I'll go here, and I'll do ngserve. We have actually completed the whole application, and now it should be up and running. And as you can see that our server is already running here on localhost 3000 products. Okay, this URL, and our Angular application is running on 4200. So now one last thing left is CSS for this file. So we'll go in CSS folder, got some pre-written CSS styles, which you can again copy from the GitHub. Okay, so our application is running on this port, but one last thing is left is we need to go in our app component.ts file, and we need to load our both the products. So first of all, we will have our product list component here in our imports, and also we'll have our shopping cart, and we need to have both of them in our template in order to see the application, right? So we'll go in HTML here, and we'll remove all the pre-written code, and here we'll just define a div. Okay, we'll call it class, and we'll call it app container. There we go. And inside this we will have a header. Okay, just to make it look better, here we'll have a h1, and here we'll display our title of the app. And now after the header we'll have our main, and here we will have a section, and inside this section we will have our both the products. So one is our app product list, so we'll say app product list like this. Now it will display our app product list. Okay, and after this we'll have our app shopping list. So we'll use this aside tag, so this will show it on the right hand side. So here we will have our class, and we will call it cart section, and inside this aside we will show our app shopping cart. There we go. So now it will display our app shopping cart, and at the end, after the main, we can have our footer. So that's it. So this footer, we can just show a p tag that it's a Angular NgRx shopping cart app. There. So now we just need to give some basic styling. Okay, now we just need to go to CSS file and give some styling. Okay, now we can save our application and go to our localhost 4200. But the application is not loading, so I can see that in our appconfig.ts file, we just need to provide our HttpClient as well here. So we just need to import. That's it. Because we are using the HttpClient, so we need to import it in our appconfig file. Okay, now if we save this and if we go to our application and if we load this, you can see that we got this loading product. You can see, and because of this is because of the observable we have created and how beautifully it shows. And you can see that our shopping cart is also empty and all the products are loading perfectly. So we can go and we can add a product here, and you can see how smoothly it has been added, and it also calculated the total. And you can see that is how NgRx Store provides us. So it provides us with all the things and it connects them like really easily and in a smooth way. So you can add multiple products like this, okay? And you see that this product shows the grand total, it shows all the details we need. And as soon as we click plus here, it updates this price, it also updates this price simultaneously. And then we can go on and we can remove the product. So if we click -1 here, at this time, it would remove this whole object from this array, right? You see, it's the action which we created. Then if we write +1 here, then it will just add another quantity. It will update the quantity and update the total. So like this, we can add multiple products like this, add to cart, add to cart. We can do more of them like this. And if we, for example, we have already got retro gaming console here, you can see, right? Which is this one. So now if we go and if we, instead of clicking here, we again click add to cart, it already knows it exists, you know, the product already is there. So it won't create another object here. When we click there, it will update the quantity. So you remember the method which we created in our action and our selectors, that if the product exists, then you go and update it rather than, you know, adding another one. So this is what it does, you see. And it also updates seemingly here as well. So how well all of this is connected, it is just really amazing. That is what NgRx Store provides us with. So in this video, we are using our NgRx Store, our effects, our selectors, and whatnot. All of the things really perfectly. If we clear our cart now, it will ask us, and once we clear it, you see, everything is gone. It says your shopping cart is empty, add some more products. So there you have it, a realistic shopping cart application built entirely using Angular, and we have used the latest Angular 2025 features. We have used Store, we have used NgRx effect, a JSON server, and everything which makes your application feel like a real product. And don't worry, you can find all the source code, including the db.json file, in the GitHub link. So if this video was any way useful, then please hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. I will see you guys in the next video.